Well, you are actually in the part that was not made by the Jews originally, probably from the earlier part of the 2nd century AD. It's deliberately created to create a sense of a garden, of the afterlife as a place of enjoyment, as a place of happiness.
Over 1,800 years ago, pagan and Jewish Romans began burying their dead in this catacomb. And as this diverse community grew up above, so did the massive underground cemetery. Today, few realize this world of clues sits just beneath their feet.
I mean, there's major thoroughfares, roads that go right past it. There's a house above our garden. People would have no idea. I mean, there's so many layers of history. It's so rich here.
It is very much so, very much so.
Up next, discovering a lost neighborhood.
This place just keeps snaking around, doesn't it? I mean, it's like we're in an underworld city.
And later, inside an ancient power symbol of Rome.
This is much bigger than I anticipated. You can't see it from the outside. But this snakes around, and I can see there's different chambers.
Prostitutes in ancient Rome charged the equivalent of 8 glasses of red wine for their services.
For over 2,000 years, Rome has been under construction. By constantly building new structures on top of old foundations, the street level has been raised 30 feet above the ancient one. Imagine this entire neighborhood buried beneath the ground. Well, in Rome, that's exactly what you'll find. In the 1st century AD, Rome had a population density higher than modern-day Calcutta. And like many modern-day cities, most of its residents were packed into high-rise apartment buildings called insulae. Like the Circus Maximus or the Colosseum, these buildings were among the secrets to Rome's success. So what happened to the common neighborhoods? Like much of ancient Rome, they're buried beneath the modern city. And Tom Rankin, an expert on ancient architecture, was going to show me how these ancient neighborhoods are actually holding up the neighborhoods of today.
You must be Tom?
Yeah, I'm Eric.
Tom? So I'm told you got an apartment building to show me.
Well, it's more than an apartment building. It's a little bit of everything, but we're going to go into a 4-level building, move back here and see the brickwork there.
Yeah, this little patch.
Yeah, that dates from late ancient Rome. It's what would have been the 4th floor of a building, but it's now the 2nd floor of the building. We'll be entering at modern ground level, but be going down 2 stories to the most ancient level that we have surviving. Go on down. After you.
Thank you.
Tom took me through the entrance and down into the sublevels of the building.
Watch your head there.
Okay.
It's a sprawling complex of ancient warehouses, apartment blocks, and even the streets in between them. It's literally an entire neighborhood lost beneath the streets of modern Rome.
I've got a nice Roman arch above me, a barrel vaulted room. This is incredible.
Yeah, and it goes down even further. We'll be going down another level below this. The building we're in was built in a number of phases dating back to as early as the year 0, when this part of Rome was inhabited under Augustus by warehouses, industrial buildings. It's a nice slice through history where each era is pretty well preserved and visible to us.
The underground neighborhood spans over 400 years of constant building and rebuilding, from the height of Roman power in the 1st century to the empire's fall. But when the empire fell, why didn't these buildings fall with it? There were no bulldozers back then, so each generation just built on top of the next, leaving time capsules like this one beneath the streets. We began our journey 25 feet underground and 2,000 years in the past, in the oldest part of the subterranean neighborhood.
We're at the ground floor level, so the brick walls back here, those are authentic. And here I'm talking about 1st century AD, the time of the Flavian emperors.
The building we were walking through was built when Rome's first emperor, Augustus, began rebuilding the city after years of turmoil and neglect. As the empire and its capital grew, warehouses like this one were needed to store goods from around the empire. But how was this underground neighborhood still able to support the city up above? The answer is in the concrete. Common concrete is made with sand, but the Romans used volcanic ash, which was much more porous. When ash, lime, and water are mixed together, a chemical reaction occurs. The result is an extremely durable, waterproof concrete that still bonds the bricks of these buildings today. 2,000 years ago, this space would have been filled with dock workers and slaves, hauling imported goods on barges from around the empire. This space is still just a few blocks from the river, but today, it's buried 25 feet below the ground. As we walked up just one flight of stairs, we were moving forward 200 years in time, and into what used to be a courtyard.
Leaving behind the 1st century AD, and coming up to see what changed over time. And this was actually an outdoor space around 200 AD, when the rooms below had become basements. Ground level started rising up a little bit because of some of these earthquakes and fires. And we have to imagine something very different from what we see today. This is stuff that was found here, lying around here.
You're kidding! So these are the actual amphores that were found here in this space?
Yes, and like so many other things in Rome, they are unbelievably abundant. I mean, this is what, 1,800 years from now, people are going to be picking up, Twinkies wrappers and looking at them like this.
So you're looking at an ancient Twinkie wrapper. The pottery left behind reminded us that 1,800 years ago, this was a busy warehouse, with Romans working right where we stood. But 25 feet beneath the street, I found a lot more than ancient wrappers. I found myself standing inside a 1,700-year-old house.
We're getting up into medieval times. So this is a decorative geometric pattern floor of probably a house from late antiquity, meaning 4th century AD or so. We can even see over here plumbing which lies underneath the floor.
Are you kidding me? Is this ancient plumbing?
This is ancient plumbing. It's modular terracotta tubes.
We had walked out of a warehouse, into a courtyard, and back inside into an apartment building. All within this one underground neighborhood, and all beneath the modern city. Even still, there was more. A small opening in the wall led to another corridor. Even our expert wasn't sure what was beyond the wall.
Oh, let's go.
This place just keeps snaking around, doesn't it? I mean, it's like we're in an underworld city.
Well, we are underneath the city, and this was a city underneath the city. Another series of floors down here. That's a nice piece.
Oh, look at this.
So these are rooms which were residential. They were probably sleeping rooms, and they were well off, middle class. The nice decorative mosaic floors, the decorative frescoes, which might have had some figural paintings in them.
This nearly 3,000 square foot complex is impressive, but it's just a small piece of the puzzle. Look under almost any street in Rome, and you'll find the foundations of an empire.
We would find clues that would help put further together this puzzle and give us a better understanding of what Rome was like in that period.
Like in most big cities, it was the common folk who lived in neighborhoods like this one that made Rome great. Its dock workers, carpenters, and merchants built the foundations for the capital city of one of the world's greatest empires. And today, these ancient buildings are literally the foundations for the modern ones. Up next, this snake's around and I can see there's different chambers. A subterranean symbol of power.
In ancient Rome, you would be disqualified from a wrestling match by gouging out your opponent's eye. Thus the phrase, "It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye."
There's no city in the world with more fountains than Rome. Walk around any street corner and you'll probably see one, from small drinking fountains to amazing works of art. The ability to harness water was key to the survival of ancient Rome. And as you can see, no one did it better.